This is MuggleCast, the Harry Potter podcast discussing everything about J.K. Rowling's wizarding world. This week's episode is sponsored by Blue Apron. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free, including free shipping, by going to blueapron.com/MuggleCast. And by Mack Weldon, a daily wear clothing company for men. Mack Weldon will be the most comfortable socks, shirts, hoodies, and sweatpants you'll ever own. Go to mackweldon.com and get 20% off using promo code MUGGLE. New episodes of MuggleCast are made possible thanks to listeners like you. Please visit patreon.com/MuggleCast to support the show and help us grow. In exchange, you'll receive exclusive benefits, including an ad-free version of our podcast.
Welcome to MuggleCast, episode 312. Myself, Eric, and Gina are here this week. We are missing our fearless leader, Andrew Sims. He has decided to go off and vacation across the pond in the UK, and we're missing him. It was very evident at the start of the show.
Yeah, the show must go on, though. We're here. Hi, everybody.
Yes. For the millennial listeners, he's taking a little vacation before he gets his teeth cleaned.
Oh. He's gallivanting around Europe, or as Micah said, the UK, or London, the other side of the pond. There are so many names for it. I wonder why.
Well, definitely something of note, and I know that he'll talk about it once he gets back, is that he visited the studio tour very recently. I saw a nice photo posted on Facebook, and seems
he was killing it on
enjoyed himself.
He was killing it on Snapchat. Gina messaged me and she was like,
they were so funny.
You gotta check this out. And for those of you who don't have Andrew on Snapchat, don't worry, because he literally tweeted every single one of his funniest snaps directly to J.K. Rowling, asking her if she thought they were funny. So go over to @Sims on Twitter and just you can find his snaps that way. But it's good he's having fun, and that was his first time at the studio tour, which is really cool. I also took a very long time to go and see it, but managed to catch it in 2015, and you two have not been yet. Is that right?
That is correct.
Correct.
Okay, cool. They are adding, of course, the new Forbidden Forest expansion area, which I'm sure we'll learn more about because I'm sure Andrew saw it.
Andrew just has a way of timing things.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
Not sure
very
how
mysterious
he does it,
how that worked out.
Yeah, but no, it's something I've actually never been to London. Never been to the studio tour. So,
that's right.
I'm going to plan a trip to London this year, and going to make a point of heading over to the studio tour. I've heard nothing but good things about it. So. And like I said, I know Andrew, once he's back on our next episode, will definitely be sharing some of his favorite moments from his trip.
I've got a favorite moment. It didn't occur on Andrew's trip to Europe, but there's big news to lead off the show this week, which is that we have hit our second Patreon milestone, you guys.
Woo! Yeah!
Woo! If I had my Andrew's soundboard, I would be playing Casey and the Sunshine Band right now, Celebration. But we did it. We did it. 14 months after our Patreon started, we've reached our top goal, which means that MuggleCast will, in fact, be going weekly.
Wow. Talk about a throwback.
Right?
We need somebody to look it up. I probably should have done this before the show, but when was the last time that we were actually producing weekly episodes of the show?
I think
according
it was 2010.
According to the post on Patreon that Andrew wrote, because we know he does his research, he said 5 years. He said a little over 5 years. So it would have been like 2012, after all the movies were out on home video. And there was no more Potter.
Wow.
For a long time. Yeah. So that was the last time we were weekly, though, which also seems like, I think it was probably earlier than that, too, and maybe we had a spout of, frequent episodes. But after our hiatus and when we, ceased regular programming, it was a little iffy there. But the last year, we've been recording monthly and bi-monthly, and now we're finally at the point where we're able to deliver weekly MuggleCast again. It's super exciting. And we want to thank each and every one of our patrons who contributed to that, making it a reality, allowing us to spend more time on the production side and doing more of these episodes. It does really take me back. We're going to be talking about being taken back a little later in the show, too, to the beginning, where it all started for us and all of that. But it really takes me back, and I'm really excited for the prospect of weekly MuggleCast again. So we hope you are all as well.
Yeah, I would just echo what you said in terms of thanking all the patrons out there who are supporting the show. You are the reason why now. We will be going back to doing weekly episodes starting in April. And I don't know, we're going to have to get used to this again. I've been weekly episodes. This is it's going to be a little different. No, we're definitely excited. We're looking forward to it, and you can expect to see us back weekly starting in April. And we'll be planning some really cool discussions and other things for the show. It's definitely going to be different doing it 4 times a month, and so we're definitely going to be reaching out to all of you to get your input, to get your ideas on different things that we can talk about.
Yeah, actually, I'm making a note to myself at the end to plug our email address. Ooh. And we'll talk about that more at the end.
We have a couple news stories here to talk about at the top, and the first story I think is one that we all have our own personal feelings on. It occurred just over about a week and a half ago at this point at the Oscars. And finally, Fantastic Beasts earned the Potter franchise's first ever Academy Award.
Oh my gosh.
I was so excited.
So as I texted to Andrew, because I didn't want to put it out publicly because I thought it would elicit backlash. But I feel comfortable saying it in the context of this podcast, is see what happens when you finally move it to the United States, you win an award.
Oh, snap. Micah.
I'm not saying that's how I feel. I'm just saying that that's...
It probably is a little true because it won a ton of BAFTAs. But the Potter series won
always does
a ton of BAFTAs, but never won or was nominated for squat here.
Yeah, and I would just say I'm 100% joking when I say that. Please do not send emails to the address that Eric is going to mention at the end of the show.
But I kind of agree with you.
It's true.
In all reality.
Oh, okay. So maybe it is a good point. I don't know.
I think there's been a lot of talk. Academy Awards. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy every year, and this year, and especially last year too, about the Academy Awards. But I think there is an inherent or implicit bias against Harry Potter, and we've talked about this in the past when we've done Oscars, coverage on MuggleCast about how they just don't. I mean, it's always kind of been kept at arm's length, unfortunately. In Lord of the Rings, Return of the King is pretty much the only film that really broke through. From the fantasy genre to even get any Academy Awards, let alone all like the dozen or so that it got. But Harry Potter had always been, kept at arm's length. So I think that this was a big moment, but I think it's not a coincidence that this film is set in America and all of a sudden it wins.
Well, yeah. Star Wars has won some Oscars, mostly for production. I honestly felt if Potter was going to win for anything, Potter, not Fantastic Beasts, it would have won for music, and it never did. I always thought that would be the one. But I'm excited for Fantastic Beasts. I hope that this leads to more for them.
So they were nominated in 2 categories this year at the Oscars. Best Costume Design, for which they won. Colleen Atwood accepted the award, and then also in Best Production Design, which they lost in that category. But one of the things I thought was interesting about the acceptance of the award was that Colleen didn't seem very prepared. And not only was she not prepared, she didn't thank J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm actually crying inside.
I did note she did not thank
Joe. It's actually, if you watch this acceptance video, I feel comfortable calling it a train wreck. Like it's awful. It's really bad. Like because she is just so unprepared, and she comes up to the stage and is just spends 5 seconds being bewildered and blinking, and it's a little bit different than the typical, like, starry-eyed, I'm a very young actor or actress, unfamiliar with how this all works, and I can't believe I've been right. She just was completely confident that she was not going to win, and it really, to me, the speech that eventually stumbled out was quite at opposite with how I was feeling for Harry Potter. The fact that she, didn't thank J.K. Rowling was really just one symptom of many. Like she did not prepare a speech, even in the complete offset, like random chance that Harry won. And for that, I think it's fair to blame her. Because if you're nominated, you should probably think about maybe drafting some kind of speech to make sure that you do thank somebody like J.K. Rowling, who made all of this possible.
I think that's all fair.
I don't know. I give her leeway because I don't care how many Oscars you've won. It's probably a bit jarring to hear your name called.
But, I mean, come on. You need to thank the person that is responsible for writing the story. No?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. She should have thanked Joe, but her stumbling through the rest of it doesn't bother me. I expect that.
Yeah. Well, maybe next time when Fantastic Beasts wins another Oscar. Oh, wait, it's going to Paris next year, so maybe it won't.
The costumes will be even more intricate.
Yep. Well, speaking of Fantastic Beasts, it is not only going to Paris, it is coming to home video. And the digital copy of Fantastic Beasts was released on March 7th, which is actually yesterday, as we are recording on Wednesday. I got an email about this, so I was aware of the fact that it was released, and the Blu-ray version of Fantastic Beasts will be released later this month on, I believe it's March 28th. So we have a lot to look forward to in that respect, because there'll be deleted scenes to talk about. We can jump back into the movie, take another watch through. For Gina, we can take a look at that scene between Graves and Credence in the alleyway and see if it in fact does sound at times like Johnny Depp. I think that I never got a chance to say this, but I thought that was an amazing catch by you, and I think it deserves way more credit than it was given.
Thank you. Please.
Because I'm sure it really did happen. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sure that it did happen.
If you get the digital copy, or if you wait like myself until the 28th to get the physical copy, please go to that scene and listen to it, because I feel in the depth of my soul that I'm correct, and I want other people to know, or to not agree with me, but like
Accept the
possibility.
Open their mind, open your eye to the possibility. Actually, you have some support among our patrons. Katie Hiley, on our patron feed, who did get the digital copy, by the way, says that he does sound like him in at least one of the lines. So I think there's something there. I will view it for myself and make my own decision in 3 weeks when we get the thing. But I think it is a cool catch. It's a really exciting possibility.
And then also yesterday, Pottermore released a clip in which you can watch cast members from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them talk about working with the Potter creative team. And so, obviously we have so many crew that have been around the Potter series for such a long period of time, like David Heyman, David Yates now, with the number of films that he's directed, Stuart Craig, and the list just goes on. It must have been a cool experience for a lot of these actors. Some of them very notable, though. to come on set and to be able to work, with people who have been there for such a long period of time and have really been inside of this world and created this world, brought it to life in film.
Yeah, this is definitely a good video to showcase production design. The category it didn't win. But I'm looking forward to all of the production aspect, like bonus features on the Fantastic Beasts Blu-ray. I hope there are dozens of them, to be honest.
Those are
and this
my
was just
favorite.
a short clip. Yeah. But to show how they continue to make the Wizarding world real, and especially to set the tone or in the era of 1920s America, is definitely an exciting story. The question is, how much will they share now, and how much are they waiting for the 5-movie box set in 2027 to tell.
The illustrated edition.
The illustrated of the movie.
That's later. That's later in the show.
Yeah.
All my money.
All of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say that these clips are not uncommon to start to be released, specifically prior to the release of the Blu-ray, which, as mentioned, March 28th. So I expect that we will see probably a few other clips that'll be released on Pottermore in the coming weeks. We did have a few deleted scenes, and I don't know whether it was intentionally or unintentionally ended up online. I know that I do remember reading that I believe all the deleted scenes ended up online but were quickly removed. However, the one for the Rune Spore and the Demiguise have stayed on. I watched the Rune Spore one. I didn't get a chance to catch the one with the Demiguise, but I figured, you know what? I saw him in the film, so I don't need to really watch him in another scene. He could have been in every scene. We would have never known. Am I right?
I think he was in every scene. I think that's the secret Easter egg of Fantastic Beasts the movie.
But the Rune Spore was really cool.
I did
Oh, yeah?
not. I didn't see the Runesporn scene.
Yeah, what happens in the Runespore scene?
You didn't?
No. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at this picture. What is this animal? I've never seen this animal before. And that's coming from me, kids. I've never seen this animal before.
So this did not make the cut in Chicago.
I don't think so. If it did, the animation was so rudimentary that I don't recognize it. But the Demiguise scene, I do remember, because I remember that sequence being really long, and kind of unnecessary. But
Gina, according to Katie, it's when they're in the newt case. It's the 3-headed snake in the newt case.
yeah, I can tell it's in the newt case.
Yeah, one of them has a cone on it, like I guess a cone of shame, maybe, a rehabilitation cone. Is that right, Micah? Do you remember? It's a cone of shame.
No, I'm not up on my Fantastic Beasts.
But you saw the clip though.
I did see the clip. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He just kind of sneaks up on Jacob, and Jacob has absolutely no idea that it's there, and then he just keeps walking. It's kind of it's conversation between Jacob and Newt as they're walking through the Newt case, and Jacob is just completely oblivious as they're talking about snakes. Actually, so it's a cool scene of another beast that didn't make it into the film, but I think you could probably sit for quite a long period of time and try and figure out how many different beasts there were, in those scenes that, just in passing. I mean,
oh yeah,
I'll have to watch that with sound later on.
I mean the hummingbird thing. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say the hummingbird thing, right? It's like the first one to escape. It gets out, and it's never like directly addressed or given a name to in the film. I could be wrong. Maybe
Yes.
Newt mumbles it.
Yes,
what it
it's
is.
on the street, and Tina sees it. Yes.
Tina does ask him what it or whatever. I don't think he ever gets that back. You mentioned, Micah, that the other deleted scenes and stuff had been leaked online. I actually caught a 7-minute master clip on YouTube. It didn't have the Runespore scene or the Demiguise scene, but it had a number of other like extended scenes and things like that. There was one where it was an alternate ending. Yeah, there was one where it was an alternate ending to the film, but it wasn't like Credence getting on the boat or anything quite so exciting. It was just that the hummingbird thing flies up from, I guess, street level, and it's just sort of an alternate end to the movie. You know how like in Disney openings they have Tinkerbell come out and like like do a thing. It was basically like that sort of an ending, but with the hummingbird.
So basically, you're saying that we can expect this bird in every movie.
I think it'd be opening and then pulling the curtain closed for the credits, just like the old animation cartoons.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right.
For ABC Family's Fantastic Beasts weekend.
Oh,
Freeform.
Freeform. Is ABC Family completely gone?
Yes,
I think
it's
it is,
gone.
yeah.
It's gone.
Okay. All right. Freeform. Fine.
They divorced.
There you go.
They rebranded.
We mentioned that Andrew was over at the studio tour in London, and actually today, the day that we're recording, there was an official press opening for the new Forbidden Forest expansion at the studio tour. Jason Isaacs, Ivana Lynch, James and Oliver Phelps were all there. There's some photos that have popped up online giving you a little bit of a sneak peek in terms of what you can expect inside this exhibit, but I don't think too much to make of it there, but knowing that we're I don't know if it's officially open yet, is it?
No.
Okay, when is the
The
So
31st.
Andrew just missed the deadline, or
Oh,
just
man.
missed the opening.
I believe they had a soft closed opening where only specific people went or were invited, and invitation only.
We'll have to ask him if he got in.
Well,
still-
Andrew surely would have been on that list. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's always so nice to see them break out the red carpet and the Phelps twins show up and Evie Lynch shows up and Jason Isaacs, who was just cast in the new Star Trek TV series, by the way, he's going to be the captain. Apparently had some free time to come down to the studio tour and pose next to some giant trees. So I'm excited. Very excited for this. But yeah. The studio tour, when you guys go, you'll see there's a lot of opportunity in like the grand room before you get into the Great Hall, and the Hogwarts room, which I saw Andrew posted a picture of himself in front of, where they have the full scale, like not to scale, but this full scale model of Hogwarts, which takes up a whole room, and it's the one that it's the entire grounds of Hogwarts in one piece, including like all the towers, the Owlery, Hagrid's hut, all that stuff. In that giant room, there's they have like galas sometimes and like black tie affairs and stuff. It's really cool. So it's built to stand the test of whatever the studio tour needs to put on to have, which is a really smart way of doing things.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I know that this exhibit will be probably one of many. I mean, it seems like these types of additions are just going to be continuous, and certainly with Fantastic Beasts, there's even more opportunity to continue to add to the studio tour, to not just make it specific to Potter, but to open it up to the entire Wizarding world.
Yeah, they're gonna need to do another building, I think, because they used the space extremely well. But with 4 more films on the horizon, I'd be very surprised if Leavesden didn't build another like entire separate building that was for Fantastic Beasts.
Well, speaking of Fantastic Beasts, a little bit more news on the audiobook front. We learned back in January that Eddie Redmayne was going to be lending his voice to the audiobook version of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And we got our first clip, I believe, where he's going through the description of a basilisk.
Ugh, snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
He still mumbles.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Whoa!
we have plenty more news to get to, so...
I think it's great. I think the sound's great. I love it. The audio quality is obviously top
I'm so
production.
excited for it, but I know I should not be excited for it.
I think it sounds great. Everyone should listen. Everyone who's listening should go check it out.
Oh,
I know
for sure.
MuggleNet had a clip. Yeah, make your own decision.
Don't listen to me. Absolutely go buy this.
He still mumbles.
Well, I'm sure we'll play a few. I believe we played a clip. Didn't we play a clip of him?
I
Not
think
that-
the last episode I was on, he did.
There was a clip
did.
of him. Well, he was talking about the opportunity of
okay.
narrating, right? Yeah, I think, right?
Yes, and it was like a 10-second clip of him reading, and it was a different passage from what we have now.
Okay, this is like a minute-long clip of the actual Basilisk bio with like the star rating and all.
This is the real deal, not the crap we played on
Yeah,
2 episodes ago or whatever.
Well, we can't play it because Andrew's not here.
But we can't. Yeah, exactly.
We're so technically deprived.
So
right
thanks for
now.
going on vacation, Andrew.
Ah, jeez. Well, we'll be back next time with all the capabilities of playing audio.
All right. Eric, do you want to take the next couple of news stories here?
Yeah, sure. This one's actually this one Gina put in the doc, but it's world news, and it has to do with the cursed child. Gina, do you want to intro this?
I can't. I mean, the Cursed Child broke the Olivier Award nominations. They had 11, which is, like I said, record breaking. I didn't go through it all, but I feel like most of the main actors were nominated.
Yeah, I saw there was a video that was released by the cast today, I believe.
Oh.
I think it was on Twitter. I forget whose account it was, but it was basically a thank you video from the cast, given the number of nominations that they received for Cursed Child.
They were nominated for Outstanding Achievement in Music, Choreography. One second, I'm scrolling really fast. Light design,
Lighting.
sound design, costume design, set design, Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Best Actor, Jamie Parker, Best Director, Best New Play.
And also at this ceremony, at this year's Olivier Awards, Sir Kenneth Branagh, who played Gilderoy Lockhart, will be receiving a special award. So that's in 1 month on Sunday, the 9th of April. For those of you who are tracking theater and Cursed Child, it can only mean exciting
For the
things.
Brits out there, do they televise this like they televise our Tonys? I have no idea. I have no idea. They definitely don't televise it in America. So if you
we
are,
have any British listeners,
yeah, if anyone's awake, let us know.
and on our Patreon stream, yeah, maybe BBC America or something can get it.
Maybe.
But okay, moving on real quickly. By the way, congrats to Cursed Child cast and crew. It's very exciting. I look forward to seeing how many awards they can take.
And speaking of awards, though, I know it's a little bit further down there, but it ties in nicely that Michael Gambon is going to be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure one of his standout scenes will be from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Ugh. If they use that,
We all know
in
what
the
scene we're
highlight reel.
talking about.
The highlight reel. I think the thing that it's not quite clear, because of how young we all were when, Prisoner of Azkaban, the movie, came out. I think I was 16. Is just how much of an impact Michael Gambon made to British film long before, like when Harry Potter when that movie was not even a twinkle in the eyes of Warner Brothers. So it's important to note that Michael Gambon's extensive film career, which began, according to IMDb, in 1965 with a version of Othello. He's done Shakespeare, he's done television, The Borderers, Eyeless in Gaza, The Challengers, all sorts of stuff throughout the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. There's not a decade this man didn't work in.
He's worked consistently since the 60s.
Consistently. So I
Yes,
know...
he's keeping the unemployment rate.
He's keeping the percentage
Stealing
down.
work.
I am sure, even though this panel of hosts is a poor sample size representation of those who've seen and can appreciate his work, I have no doubt that it's due, and that it's gonna be that it's an earned award for lifetime achievement. So it's just impressive. I can't think of doing anything for 50 years. Like I think I'm not going to be doing MuggleCast in 50 years.
Don't say
you say that now.
Yeah, okay, I will be doing MuggleCast in 50 years. But still, I haven't gotten there yet, and Gambon has. So congratulations, Sir Michael Gambon.
Yep. So he will receive the award about a month from now on April 8th, and is being honored by the Irish Film and Television Academy. Yeah, so as you said, congrats to him. I know, and he jumped in to fill a role. Let's not forget that, which is never an easy thing to do. He did not originate the role of Dumbledore, as we all know. So I think, despite certain events, certain moments, I should say, in the series, we should give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt at times, because I think that for a lot of people, Richard Harris was that ideal, soft-spoken, charismatic Dumbledore. I know there are people out there who have criticisms of his role as well, but that Goblet of Fire moment will always stand out for me.
Yeah, absolutely, me as well. But we do want to ask listeners, tweet us, because the Lifetime Achievement Award hasn't happened yet, but just leading up, tweet at us, let us know what your favorite Gambon performances were, and we'll be monitoring. We'll retweet some of your favorite non-Harry Michael Gambon performances.
Absolutely. And final bit of news here is that J.K. Rowling has apparently invented a brand new word yet again.
Yet again. You know that feeling, Micah, when you're trying to think of a word and you know what it means, and you use other words to describe what it means to somebody, but you're like, hey, what is that word? You know that feeling?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, right now I'm trying to think of a word that means something that can grow or shrink to fill the available space. Maybe within a bowl. Yeah.
Or like a nude case?
Yeah, possibly. But this all came about because of the Akame in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It's like a snake-like creature almost, right?
It was the bird too, like snake
bird.
bird.
A bird.
Like
yeah, no, you're right. It had the beak and everything.
Yeah.
I'm confusing it with the rune spore from earlier, but yeah, it could basically expand and contract at will, and is able to fill up large spaces or small spaces. And J.K. Rowling went ahead and came up with a word for it, which apparently only Eddie Redmayne seems to be able to properly pronounce.
And
he may just be mumbling it. We have
the mumbling comes back. The word that J.K. Rowling, I mean, when you can't think of a word and you're J.K. Rowling, you just invent it. Why not? I think it's probably got the proper roots. Choranaptyxic, or Choranaptyxic? Choranaptyxic? Now I'm screwing it up. What do you guys think it is?
She says it in the video.
She does say it in the video?
I believe it's Choranaptyxic. Oh, Christ on a cracker.
There's an X there where you wouldn't expect it.
I was so prepared mentally for this.
Choranaptyxic.
There you go.
Choranaptyxic.
There you go.
There's about 5 different pronunciations in this article that we have here. So,
yeah. But no, it's cool, and it means the Akame. So that's what they blurt out in the film when they're on, I guess, in motion talking about the Akame. But it's just fun to note because J.K. Rowling is in fact writing these films. So it for me this counts as canon, but also it's just an example of her continuing to create in this world that we're so familiar with. So I thought it was worth the news.
All right. So that's the news for this episode. We are going to quickly throw it over to Andrew. He is going to be working in this episode. I'm going to throw it across the pond to Andrew to talk about Blue Apron.
Hey everyone, it's Andrew jumping in from London, where I'm far away from my kitchen, but I'm looking forward to getting home and getting back to cooking with Blue Apron. They are the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the USA. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. What's on the menu this month? Vegetable chili and baked sweet potatoes with crispy tortilla strips and spicy shrimp coconut curry with cabbage and rice. One thing that's nice about Blue Apron is that you can schedule the meals to be delivered on your schedule. So, for example, since I'm away this week in London, I told Blue Apron, don't send me meals this week. Skip them. It's so easy to do on their website. It only takes a few seconds. You can also select the day that week's meals will be delivered, and you can pick the 3 meals you want from a selection of 6. So, for example, one of the meals I'm getting once I'm back is a pork and cabbage tacos meal. It includes pineapple and pickled jalapeno salsa. It's going to be so good. I can't wait. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/MuggleCast. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. That's blueapron.com/MuggleCast. Blue Apron is a better way to cook.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Now it's time for us to take a look back at some of your earliest Harry Potter memories. We asked this question over on patreon.com/MuggleCast and got, what did you say, Eric? It was over
70.
60 responses, 70 responses, something like that. So we will be spreading these out, I think, really throughout the course of the year, particularly with it being the 20th anniversary of Sorcerer's Stone. It's also the 10th anniversary of Deathly Hallows. So it's always good to take some time to look back. I know we always have these different stories that we'll share on the podcast, but there's always great stories out there that you, the listeners, have. And really, a lot of them are about how this community really just formed and came together and still exists to this day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. So I think we should take turns reading these, but we're going to feature the feedback that we received of earliest Harry Potter memories. Who wants to go first?
I think Chad does.
Chad, okay.
Yeah,
Chad Hopkins.
Go for it, Eric.
Okay. He says, when I was in 2nd grade, circa 1999, there was another girl in my class who liked Harry Potter, but I didn't like her, so I avoided the series. I eventually got Sorcerer's Stone for Christmas that year, and I avoided it at first, but I picked it up after a week or so and had it finished before my January 17th birthday. I liked it so much my grandmother, who bought me Sorcerer's Stone, bought me the next 2. I've been hooked since.
Wow, you're 2nd grade in 1999?
I know, Micah. I know.
Damn, that makes me feel old.
I think I was in 6th grade.
Uh-huh.
I was in early 8th grade.
Yeah, okay, so my math is right.
I thought Chad was going to say he ended up dating and marrying this girl.
I want to know where this girl is now. Chad, you got to write in.
I chose this one because I love how people can ruin stuff for you. But I'm glad that this didn't ruin it for you, Chad. I'm glad that she did not deter you.
All right. Stephanie Cherrick, hope I'm pronouncing that right, says she was 5 years old and her brother and I, well, not me, but I should have read that the right way from the beginning. I was 5 years old and my brother and I had snuggled up with my mom on the couch as he started reading Sorcerer's Stone to us for the first time. It'd be a couple years until I really got into the series on my own, but that memory definitely has stayed fixed in my mind.
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah, memories of being read the books. I know even Andrew, I think, has said that his teacher, I could be completely wrong, but I definitely hear a lot.
It's okay,
how,
he's not here, so
yeah, I know.
Make it up.
I know, but yeah, a lot of people just say how their teacher in school, that would be the book at story time or chapter. They do a chapter at a time. and read it. And I just hear that story often. But the way that J.K. Rowling's words come off of the lips of a teacher or parent, loved one, that sort of thing, is a really special moment that clearly stays with you. So
I have several teacher friends who have worked really hard to incorporate Potter into their curriculum, and a lot have kind of fought against school boards to allow it. And I that's one of my favorite things, is when I hear either kids saying, "Oh, my teacher taught me this," or "I'm a teacher and I make sure to teach this to my kids." I have one friend who's got a little boy who's 10, and he's reading Harry Potter for the first time. So it's cute seeing his reactions now.
Gina, why don't you take Helen's?
Helen Cayley says, going to see Chamber of Secrets at the cinema for one of my birthday parties. We arrived late, so the only seats at the front were free, and we found the spiders we all found the spiders close up scary, which I would think that too. If I saw those so up close, that would scare me.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting to hear how you have Helen, who's really first exposure to the series came through the movies as opposed to the books. So it's good to get that mix, because that was the case for me, and I think Eric also for you.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So and I think thinking back to 2001, 2002, when the first two films came out, it was before a lot of theaters had like stadium seating. Theaters nowadays, not a bad seat in the house, even if you're in the front row. There's usually, you can kind of deal a little bit better, I think, these days. Back then, who knows what the theater was like, and just kind of it's really funny to say that like the effects and creature stuff was like more terrifying because of how close you were. But that's Helen's first memory, so it's really special. And now on to Sophia Gibson, who says, when I was 5 or 6, she put the dates here, but I'll spare Micah feeling old. My mom played the audiobook for Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah, well, it was 2003, 2004. My mom played the audiobook for Sorcerer's Stone on cassette tape in the car while on a road trip. I remember listening to Harry celebrate Christmas with Ron and his trips to the Mirror of Erised. I wouldn't actually read the books until 2008. I think we still have those cassette tapes. I have to imagine that those would be pretty valuable now if you have audiobooks on cassette. On cassette.
Yeah.
In my first car, which wasn't until later in life, it didn't have a CD player. And it was from 2010, but it didn't have a CD player. It only had a cassette player. And I found the Sorcerer's Stone cassettes at a garage sale, and I purchased them because I only had a cassette player in my car.
Yeah. If you need a Harry Potter fix and you're in your car, then there you go. But it's just it's so funny because again, talking about how long ago this was, just the digital conversion, the CDs becoming the primary form, and then I guess digital audiobooks like through iTunes and that sort of thing is now what most people do on e-readers and tablets. It's just changed so much, and I am fairly confident in saying that they stopped making Harry Potter books on cassette tapes. Even the audiobooks on CD that took up, as the books got longer, 30 CDs in a case, it would have just been impossible to capture all of that audio on cassette. It would have been insane, super heavy. They would have needed like a Hogwarts school trunk just to like fit book 5 on cassette tapes. Yeah, it just wouldn't have been. It stopped being practical. So I have to imagine that I'd be very surprised if the dying format cassette was carried through to the final Harry Potter book only 5 or 6 years later.
All right. Una McAllister says, in 2000, when I was 5, my parents were watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And one of the questions was, quote, in the children's book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, what is Quidditch? end quote. It bugged my dad that he didn't know, so he bought the first book, started reading it to me, and the rest, as they say, is history.
I love this.
I thought that was the most fascinating
That's really
first
cool.
story. I was like, I have to choose that one. I think that's the coolest first story I've ever heard.
We had Gina choose these stories. She's impartial, by the way,
Yes.
everybody.
So, Una, you owe your Harry Potter obsession to Regis Philbin. I'm assuming he was the host back in 2000?
Yeah, and to your dad getting mad at
to your
a game
dad,
show.
but really to
Yeah.
Regis.
Yeah, but really, like, whose dad wasn't like mad at a game show at some right? But that Una's father like decides to then read about it. It's just like, I will overcome this temporary like upset here and actually find out what Quidditch is. And that's kind of the thing with game shows too, right? You watch them. Part of the entertainment is to see if the person, is going to win. But then the other part is self-education, right? I mean, you watch Jeopardy so that you learn more stuff. So it's just fun to actually see an example of that having happened.
We also heard from Felicia, who said, I'm sure there are other memories from earlier, but I remember being in my dad's truck with my Lumos reading flashlight that I got at a book fair. I was reading Goblet of Fire and started crying when Cedric died.
That made me so sad. My friend's kid, who I mentioned previously, he's 10 years old, and they're on book 4, but he won't finish it, and he won't tell her why, but we think it's because someone spoiled the ending for him, and he doesn't want to read that Cedric died. So I thought that's a big moment for kids, like teenage, younger. That's a huge moment to read.
It's a turning point.
Yes. So
Series doesn't get happier from there on.
Felicia, I think you're in the chat now, so I'm sorry.
Do you want to read the last one, Gina?
Yes. From Michael Vartanian. I was in the 4th grade. My aunt put Sorcerer's Stone into the gift bags at my cousin's birthday. I had never heard of Harry Potter before. It wasn't until the next year that everyone in my school was talking about it. I think it's just really cool that there was a mom out there who was like, I'm going to put books in the kids' goodie bags.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Michael's got a cool
candy
aunt.
and maybe a little, like, gimmicky thing, tchotchke type thing.
Yeah.
Not a book. I got a Beanie Baby once. Not a book.
Oh, well, yeah. Still not a book. And which one is more useful to you? Beanie Babies or Harry Potter books?
Harry Potter books, I would say.
That's really cool. Still waiting for the value to come up on my one Beanie Baby. Yeah.
Well, I would dare say that your aunt would be even cooler if she would have put a copy of the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban into the birthday gift bags.
Your
It's
aunt would
quite
be
possible
rich.
it's quite possible the kids wouldn't be able to carry it.
I was
home.
just going to say that. No, but before we jump into that, I will say thanks to everybody for sharing those memories. We will continue throughout the course of the year to share more of them. And I think there was a really great group. Thank you, Gina, for pulling those together. Different stories, things that I honestly would never even think of. Because my story is nowhere near as good as the ones that we read here today.
Well, what is your story, Micah? Your earliest Harry Potter memory?
Earliest memory, I just think it was a friend of mine from high school who one summer, we were hanging out, we were back from college, and she had just said, this is a series, these are books that I think that you would be interested in reading. And that's really the earliest memory that I have of it, because I didn't read the series. I believe it was the summer that I started doing this podcast, or like the months prior to that was when I started reading the books. So, and it just happened that Half-Blood Prince was going to be released as I was finishing up with the first 5 books. So it worked out well. But yeah, that's probably the earliest memory. I'm trying to think. I may have seen a couple of the movies. I really honestly don't remember. I've probably watched a few of them when I was in college.
Yeah,
the early ones. So, see, like I said, nowhere near as interesting as being the cool fourth grader that gets, a copy of Sorcerer's Stone in your gift bag at a birthday party.
There are common threads, I think, all around, which is the personal element. You had a friend reach out. This person, Michael had his aunt reach out. Chad had a girl he didn't like. Who didn't reach out, but never mind. I guess that's where the thread stops.
We're still going to find out that they're happily married.
Yeah. Gina, what do you have a earliest Harry Potter story?
My first memory is my mom bringing the book home.
See, there you go. Common thread.
She brought it. She said a coworker's daughter loved it, and she knew I liked to read, so she brought it home after work. I went to read before dinner, and that was that.
Did you show up for dinner?
I did show up for dinner. I felt like I feel like I kind of came down in a daze because I was like, I don't know where I just was, but it was awesome.
Nice. All right. Well, we mentioned the illustrated edition of Prisoner of Azkaban, and as we were planning this show, in all candidness, we were really kind of thinking about what could we possibly discuss this week, and then there it was, out of the blue, a tweet on, was it Tuesday morning, from Barnes and Noble. I know they didn't officially release it, but they included us in the tweet, so they're getting the credit. Sorry, Scholastic Bloomsbury.
Sorry, Pottermore.
Barnes and Noble's getting the credit, and they actually retweeted our ask for listeners to send in their thoughts on the cover.
Oh, nice.
So I thought that was nice of them. So
thanks for the signal boost, BN.
Yeah, thank you to Barnes and Noble. And so Tuesday morning we got the official cover for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the illustrated edition. And before we kind of get into some of the details, I'm interested to get your initial thoughts before, in relation even to the first two that we have already. Looking solely at the cover.
Yeah. I am a proud owner of the first two illustrated books, and they are, and I'm sure Gina is too, they're beautiful.
Yes, I own them both, and I do love them both. This one, it's a different turn. I'm not too fond of Ernie. I feel like someone else mentioned this in the comments on the post, or maybe I read it somewhere. I don't love that Ernie looks like Dumbledore.
What?
He looks like Dumbledore. He's got the half moon glasses. He's dressed in purple. He's got a long beard.
Maybe Dumbledore's driving the night bus.
Which, that's fine if Dumbledore is, but don't call him Ernie.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? Actually, I completely see it. I didn't even notice that, but now I completely see it.
Yeah, we did have a couple of people tweet at us. One who said, Cassandra on Twitter, "Why is Santa driving?"
This is what he drives in the off season when he's not with his sleigh.
And then Gina, to your point, Amy Hill, I think the colors are stunning, but Ernie looks a little too much like Dumbledore for my liking. Still super excited.
That must have been the comment I read. I apologize for not crediting you. I really apologize.
This is just the style. This is just the fashion, you guys. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Maybe after a certain age, you have to have a long beard.
Yeah. There's no. I mean, this is a. I think let's talk about all the amazing things that's in every other part of this illustration. I love this cover. I think it's great. The night bus is obviously such a good symbol for everything that happens in Prisoner of Azkaban. The world is expanding. Things are happening in a rush. Harry isn't completely in control of his fate. I was actually looking for the dog.
Oh my gosh. I just noticed this, and I don't know if this is the dog you're talking about, but there looks like there's a teddy bear on the grill.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Was
That's
that in
weird.
the book?
I'm
don't know.
trying to remember how much
It's
of
up
this
to Jim Kay. It's all in his imagination.
Because there's also product placement, right? There's ads, just like a regular bus would have. There's a Birdie Bots ad, a Skelligro ad. I'm pretty sure at least the writing anywhere and everywhere except underwater, that's definitely in the book.
That's
Definitely in the book. Yeah.
I don't love the advertisements, but I get it. Like, I think that is a cool addition for the animated version, but I don't like, that's not how I pictured it in my head. I liked originally how it was like the outside was a clean bus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a gleaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do like that nuance.
Mm-hmm. Just in terms of the color scheme, the blue, purple, it's very purpley. I know I'm not talking about the bus. Of course, the bus is purple.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, the cover, it's accurate because it is nighttime. But I actually just like the deepness, the depth, I should say, of the blues and the purples. Even the lights, the bright lights are purple.
The purple and blues have nice hues.
It goes well with the green. The green stands out then, the green of the title. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Well, and there was an article posted on Pottermore that talked a lot about the cover and then some select images as well that they released from the book. But to your point, Eric, it says the third book, as we know, it marks a notable change in tone towards darker territory, as well as the introduction of key characters like Sirius Black and Professor Trelawney. So I think that's reflected, that darker tone, particularly in the cover.
Mm-hmm. I did want to compare how many illustrations were in this book with previous illustrations, because we do know that there's 115 illustrations.
By the numbers, brought to you by Eric Skull.
By the numbers. This will be a new segment. Now that we're going weekly, we need new segments. By the numbers. 115 in Prisoner of Azkaban. I'm actually still looking for Chamber of Secrets if somebody else can help me out. But the Sorcerer's Stone / Philosopher's Stone, the description on Amazon says over 100 stunning illustrations. So I'm guessing that it's been just about the same amount as previous books. We do expect that to dramatically increase as the size of the books do, but books 1 through 3 are roughly the same length without illustrations, so it makes sense that he'd be having about the same amount of illustrations in this edition.
And would definitely encourage people to head over to Pottermore and check out some of these other images. They have a nighttime shot of London with the night bus kind of driving over a bridge. They do have a picture of Professor Snape.
Yeah.
And it may be sort of the first profile picture. And then looks like the trio, or maybe it's just several kids sitting on a wall.
Oh.
I don't know if that's Hogsmeade or if it's Hogwarts.
I think it's Hogsmeade.
Yeah. So, and then what looks to be our first picture of Azkaban has a very kind of, I don't know, it almost looks to me like there are ships that are wrecked at would be like the bottom entrance to Azkaban.
I see exactly what you're talking about, and
I could not for the life of me figure out what that place was. I like the idea of Azkaban, but I couldn't think of that before.
Or it could be, oh, you know what? I was going to say most of it's Dementors. It is certainly Azkaban. It does look like shipwrecks on a rock. But like that whole cloud aspect, which I wasn't sure if something was being destroyed, is probably just a wave of Dementors.
Yeah, you could be right.
Which is actually kind of cool. And I fully expect we'll see a lot more of the Dementors in there. But Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean these images are great. Look, I will make the joke now that I hope there's at least one picture of Ginny in the Prisoner of Azkaban illustrated.
Okay.
Because it was funny. We kind of gave it hell, Chamber of Secrets, for not having a picture of Ginny. She's fairly important in book 2. I would be very interested to see, and if you need a reason to buy it, the Prisoner of Azkaban illustrated. Pick it up. See if Ginny makes a cameo here.
What is that last illustration?
Oh, the last illustration? I
Yes.
think it's when
The night
Sirius
bus?
tries to get into. Well, I don't know. It's a good. I was gonna say when he tries to get into the tower, and because it's like a tapestry of a lion,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like all scratched out below it.
Yeah, that was driving me nuts. I was like,
I don't know. People
what
in
is
our
it?
Patreon
It's adorable,
chat
is what it is.
may know better.
um,
But yeah, if you have any other ideas as to what that is, then definitely let us know.
I kind of want to also know if that Snape one is based off somebody. It looks like a portrait. Like,
It's Jim Kay.
oh, hey, I would do that if I was illustrating.
I'm
So.
joking. I don't know what Jim Kay looks like.
yeah. These really do. These books revolutionize the reading of the Harry Potter series. Prisoner of Azkaban being my favorite book of the 7, there is no way that I will not own this illustrated edition.
Yeah, they're definitely becoming collector's items, and I think these definitely get you excited to want to go and buy the book. And
It's a unique reading experience.
I own both the Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets as well, so I would definitely be looking to get this book. It may be a little early though, March for an October release, right? I think that's
Yeah,
a little strange.
You know
but
what?
they
You know
did-
what it is. They clearly need to give Jim Kay a head start on Goblet, which is twice as long, right? So they can begin doing the, like, maybe he's completed art for the 3rd book now, but they're giving him like a 7-month head start to like start working on art for the 4th book, and so that they can keep with a consistent release timeline for the illustrated books.
I'm going to pretend he's multitasking and doing both, honestly.
But
Yeah.
well, cool. You know,
Yeah.
wherever inspiration strikes, it's crazy to think of just one guy doing all of this art.
Yeah, well, he's definitely done a great job so far, and looking forward to seeing more. I'm sure we'll get other little snippets from this illustrated edition. We did ask the question on Twitter. We read some of the responses earlier to get your thoughts on the initial cover of Prisoner of Azkaban. And Michaela said, I like the new cover. It's dark and mysterious. However, aesthetically, it doesn't quite match the other covers. So that's interesting. I mean, but they did point out, as we read earlier on Pottermore, that it is a shift in tone, right? The series isn't necessarily, fully moved over to being in that darker space, but this is where it starts. And not to say that the whole Chamber of Secrets thing wasn't dark, nor the fact that Quirrell had somebody popping out the back of his head, but I think from like a maturation standpoint, it's starting to shift, particularly with who we all are meant to believe Sirius Black is.
Yeah. Actually, I will go on record and say I disagree with Michaela, because I found a pattern between the 3 covers. The first illustrated cover is the Hogwarts Express, which is a vehicle that Harry takes him to the Wizarding World. The second book is Chamber of Secrets. They're in the flying car going to the Burrow. So Harry's riding a vehicle, and it takes him somewhere in the Wizarding World he's never been before. And guess what? Prisoner of Azkaban, the night bus. It's a vehicle Harry gets into at the beginning of the book, and it takes him to Diagon Alley. So
Will
I
the
think
4th
there's
one have the Thestrals?
I think the 4th, the Portkey maybe. Or
Well, that's another vehicle.
because he doesn't see the Thestrals in Goblet.
Yep.
Doesn't he see him at the end? Or no, I'm sorry, that's the beginning of 5.
The beginning of, but it is because of Cedric's death. You're right. Yeah. So I think it might be an intentional connection between vehicles taking Harry on his journey.
Right, and actually Lauren Downs agrees with you. She asked, is there a rule that the cover has to have transportation? It's a great illustration, but not my favorite scene for a cover. So
I agree with Lauren.
Picked up on the transportation vibe. Both KJ and Rhiannon said that it reminds them of a Goosebumps book cover.
Yes. Oh, I
don't see that.
Oh, I think it's the green font. Like if you could imagine that it wasn't the Harry Potter font, but like the dripping blood of Goosebumps, you could totally see how it would look. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to find that when this book comes out.
You're
going to
do a side by side.
Yeah, I'm going to do a side by side and do like a Goosebumps thing. It'll be a lot of fun.
A few more here. Jolene Wilson. I like seeing the night bus on the cover for a change. The colors are fun too. Rebecca at Nerd Amore. I love it. It's dark yet whimsical. Super fun. Roxanne loves the illustration. It's my favorite cover so far of these, but the green lettering clashes. I think the UK one looks better. So Bloomsbury also released their cover, and the coloring of the lettering is different, and it's actually more legible than the one that Scholastic released.
Ooh, shots fired.
Yep. Maureen, Ernie threw me off for a sec, but it's beautiful. So going back to, is Ernie Santa? Is Ernie Dumbledore? Who knows?
Who is Ernie Prang?
At Megareed. I'm probably butchering that.
Myriad.
Anybody?
Myriad.
Okay.
I'm gonna say
I'll go with
Myriad.
you. Dark but still colorful. Perfect summary on my favorite Harry Potter book. Nick, going off of Eric, what you said earlier, should have worked in a pair of dog eyes somewhere in the trees, but overall well done.
Oh,
like Dobby.
Man,
like
missed
Dobby.
opportunities.
Yeah. Still, I like that there's sort of a shadow or a dust trail in the lower left-hand side, which makes you think a dog could have been standing there just a moment before.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's actually probably just dust kicked up by the bus. Sorry.
Nope, you're good. Caitlin Foster, love the blue and purple colors. It has a very magical feel that will definitely draw new younger readers. So Caitlin's looking out for the next generation. Hannah says, I honestly think the original one is better. So a little bit of a differing opinion going back to Mary Grand Prix.
Oh, yeah, with the hippogriff. And I there's no way, again, that that scene will not be captured by Jim Kay. I felt confident enough to say Ginny Weasley would be in Chamber of Secrets, and look where we got. But I think it makes sense that there be a couple illustrations of Buckbeak in this one, so I can't wait to see what Jim Kay does with those.
Yep. And finally, Ellie Arnott, agreeing with what Roxanne said earlier. The Bloomsbury cover is better, particularly because of the text. It captures the darkness and mystery of the book really well. So, that's it for our main discussion. Definitely, for those of you listening, if you have thoughts on the illustrated edition of Prisoner of Azkaban, on the cover, on any of what we've learned from what's been put up on Pottermore, definitely feel free to tweet at us at MuggleCast, and we'll be sure to incorporate it on future shows.
Absolutely.
Andrew here again to tell you about a second sponsor we have for March, Mack Weldon. They are a daily wear clothing company for men that prides themselves on creating very comfortable clothing. I actually did some shopping on Mack Weldon's website recently, and I got myself some sweatpants, a couple t-shirts, a pair of socks, and I can attest to the comfort and quality. The sweatpants, I am not kidding. I've been wearing them every day. They are so darn comfortable, especially this time of year with the cooler temperatures. And what's nice about the sweatpants in particular is that they're styled. So they're actually acceptable to wear outside. So I wear them while walking the dog, going to Starbucks, running some errands. Mack Weldon creates some really great clothing. And the shirts are just delightful. They're sharp, they're simple, and they're very, very comfortable. But I can't get over just how fine they look. I've really not only been wearing the sweatpants all week, but the shirts too. They are so comfortable. I'm wearing them right now while telling you about them. They're just my go-to when I get up in the morning. I want you to try them, and we're going to give you a great deal. Go to MacWeldon.com and get 20% off using promo code MUGGLE. And by the way, the more you spend, the more you'll save. Check out the offers on the website. MacWeldon.com, save 20%. Just use the code MUGGLE and enjoy. I really think you're going to love the clothing they're selling. All right, back to Micah and Eric.
So we're at the point now where I mentioned earlier on, every episode we talk about the P.O. Box a little bit, and we talk about our Twitter, but I've found that we don't often mention our email address, which is our long-standing. We've had it from the start. It's over 12 years old, and all it is, if you want to contact us via email, we'll say it right here on the show for you now, MuggleCast@gmail.com. There it is. There it was.
You said it.
I said it.
So,
yeah.
If you have feedback on anything that we talked about, not just the illustrated edition, or you want to just, as Eric said, get in touch with the show, you can email us, to his point. You can also tweet at us at MuggleCast and visit Facebook.com/MuggleCast as well. We will be launching a voicemail line for the public in the not-too-distant future. I think we should coincide it with the launch of our weekly episodes. How about that?
I think that's a good challenge. Yeah.
You know what it is? We need to secure another good number, because in the past it was 1-218-20 magic. And so, I mean, at least that had like a Potter feel to it.
Yeah,
so
20
we need to
magic.
go and work this out with the powers that be.
Well, who has 218-20 magic now? We'll just need to call that number and harass somebody. Listeners, we're recruiting you to harass whoever has that number into giving it up. Just kidding. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't. Well, maybe. Go for it.
No, don't
you
do
know
that.
what, listeners? Please just start. Just call them.
We can get a number. Yeah. Meanwhile, my phone rings in the background, and it's secretly been me all this time.
It's still tied to you.
No. I think we'll get a number that we know will be free. Will be 867-5309.
No.
People will be leaving us voicemails for a whole lot of different reasons.
All right. Well, more to come on the voicemail line. As mentioned at the top of the show, we have reached the milestone where we will be going weekly. So look forward to doing that at the beginning of April. And thank you once again to all of our patrons who support the show over on patreon.com/MuggleCast. If you're interested in supporting the show, definitely encourage you to go over there, check out all of the different levels, and we can't say thank you enough for your support of MuggleCast.
Very proud of you guys.
Yeah, this is going to be great. The new era of Harry Potter podcasting, and it's coming out very soon.
Yep. Eric, you mentioned the P.O. Box. Anything you wanted to add in before we wrap up the show?
Yes, actually. This may be the opportunity. So earlier I didn't discuss what my earliest Harry Potter memory was. The reason is I've actually done that probably 10 times before on this show, so I'll have to find it and tell people where it is. I won't repeat myself, but I had an experience that was very much like early HP that I want to share with you guys real quick, which was a couple episodes ago. I had complained that nobody had mailed the P.O. Box. And as I mentioned last week, tons of people answered the call, and it was amazing. And a post on the main MuggleCast site is still forthcoming. I have to scan literally everything that everyone sent in, and it was like over a dozen items, and it's amazing. We got a scarf. We got an apron for Andrew, got a Slytherin apron to wear in the kitchen. People were just, your outpouring of support has been utterly shocking and amazing. And I have to say, you don't need to send us stuff to get on our good side. You're listening to this podcast. You're already on our good side. But it's just been amazing the response that I've gotten. And so, one thing I didn't mention yet is there are a pair of authors named Lynn Bowie and Peter Ernest. And they're actually authors of a book called Harry Potter and the Art of Spying. We interviewed these guys over on another MuggleNet podcast, Alohomora, a couple years ago. And basically their book is about the real art of spycraft and how sort of the different things like decoy detonators and like all the government, spying on wizards and witches.
Well, this is timely. Given everything going on,
it's really
in the real world.
You're right, Micah. You're not right. But they've re-released their book. So it's Harry Potter and the Art of Spying. They've re-released their book with a young agent edition. So this is now something that you can, if you have a fourth grader who's having a birthday party or his cousin's attending, you got to put this in his bag because it's going to be amazing. It's going to blow him away. The Young Agent Edition has, it's just puzzle. It's like a puzzle book. Like, in addition to the content that's, distilled down, but it's, in the original Harry Potter and the Art of Spying. And the reason it's coming up now and with this story is when I freaked out and said, nobody's messaged, I have nothing in the P.O. box, oh, help. Lynn Bowie decided then and there that he was going to create a truly unique Harry Potter experience for me. He sent me his book, but he sent me his book in 50 parts, in little envelopes, individually labeled to me and to MuggleCast at the P.O. Box. And I have the experience of not on one occasion, but on several, going to the P.O. Box, opening up the mail slot, and all of these envelopes are literally falling out. The proprietor of this UPS store, who knows me by name, said, "What's the deal with all of those letters?"
He hates you, doesn't he?
He can't stand me. Yeah, we're going to be kicked out of the P.O. Box. We're going to have to change the address. In an episode or two, if I give you a different address, you'll know why. Because we received this book entirely in pieces, in 50 pieces, which is just amazing. And I of course have contacted Lynn and Peter and said my thank you. But it was truly a Harry Potter experience, really reminiscent of the first time, reading Harry Potter, that somebody's trying to contact him, he doesn't know, and all of the letters coming down the chimney. This is what it felt like. So I have to thank Lynn Bowie and Peter Ernest, authors of Harry Potter and the Art of Spying, for doing that.
No, it's definitely very nice of them to fill up the P.O. box, and hopefully they don't get you kicked out of the post office.
Yeah, I hope not too. But just in case there's that, here's that address again while it lasts. 4044 North Lincoln Avenue, number 144, Chicago IL 60618. And you can address it to MuggleCast, and then it'll get to me.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for this episode. Thank you both for joining me here. I know we're going to be excited to have Andrew back with us on the next episode. So with that said, that's a wrap.
Goodbye, everybody. Now let's all practice our pronunciations of Choranaptyxic.
No, let's not. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We will see you next time on episode 313.
Number 13.
Bye.